find as a lot of the studios are down south in the States, so sometimes American voice actors get the opportunities before you guys do. Do you find that there's a barrier being a Canadian voice actor as opposed to being an American one, or do you find that you get equal opportunities for your roles?
There's actually more animation done up here than in the States.
Oh. All right!
Toronto is #1 in North America for animation, original voice animation production. And there are a bunch of guys up here from Dallas and Houston working for Funimation, where there's a great deal of dubbing going on now. That's sort of a fairly new center for dubbing. But I would venture to say there's probably more in Montreal than there is in Texas going on. Yeah, more dubbing in Montreal. And we are still #1, as I say, and California, Los Angeles would be #2 in terms of production. They love us here.
They look great out there. But they don't sound as good.
Yeah, well, our performers are just as good too. Years ago, the Americans used to come up here and work all the time, and would continue to do so today if our dollar were worth less. With a 97-cent dollar, it's not worth it for them to cost too much.
Yes.
Hi. Yeah. I was wondering, what are the challenges, or like, what's the approach when dealing with dubbing versus maybe something for radio? So when you're having to match up to like existing movies for maybe a different language, what is the approach there? 'Cause it seems like that they're doing good.
Well, I know we've answered it a few different panels, so if I'm repeating myself, sorry. But for dubbing, years ago it was called the Rhythma Band, but basically dubbing is karaoke. And as soon as the words light up, you're singing the words. Well, it's the same thing with cartoons. And for dubbing, or you go in and you have to actually match lip flaps, which is even trickier sometimes. Actually, I think it's a little bit of both for the new stuff. Yeah. So I think that just answered your question. The live stuff or any kind of radio stuff, you have a lot more freedom. You can create whatever you want to create, and then the animators will draw you after.
Yeah, so you're making the character.
Yeah.
You're making it what it is. Yes?
Do you have a cautionary tale that you'd like to tell your younger selves before you got into the voice acting industry?
Don't do it. Don't do it. What are you doing? No, please don't. It's funny because I've got a daughter who is like, oh, I can do that. My mom can do it. I can do anything she can do because she's an idiot. She is pretty good, actually. And so she sort of said, I think maybe I'm going to get into acting. I think that's what I'll do. And I'm like, oh. So my cautionary thing is I say, do it. Like, by all means, do it. But if you're going to go to school for something like this, I personally now, having been through all this, done the theater school and everything, I would go for the behind stuff, to learn all the other side of it all, so that I could make my own projects, so that I could create my own stuff and know how to do that. Because now I'm starting to write. I've got an animated series that I'm just getting this close to being able to sell, and I don't know what I'm doing. I've had lots of scripts on my laps before, but I don't know how to sell it. I don't know how to do any of that stuff. So I'm now learning a whole new craft. And if I had learned it way back then, I would have done so much different.
Good point. And typing. My mother always said that. I refused to listen.
Yes.
Yeah, do you want to add another cautionary tale, or no, just move on?
Regarding the differences between the States and Canada, like the CRTC with their different regulations, have you ever run into a point where you had to change something to fit into the Canadian content compared to the American or any other dubbing?
Well, yes, and by the way, I should tell you we've got about 2 minutes left, so this, I'm afraid, will probably be the last question. I'll answer it quickly. It's not so much American-Canadian, but it's really offshore Japanese material coming in with totally different mores and ways of life. I mean, Sailor Moon was a prime example. I dealt with this the other day, where it had to be edited like crazy in order to cut out certain, say, bathing scenes, if you will, or the different scenes of, and different levels of intimacy. Also, things like, and I mentioned this, if you can't show anywhere in North America, under a certain age, a child riding a bicycle without a helmet in an animation. So that has to be reanimated or re-edited to accommodate that. Or sometimes they've got a little toy gun or something. It's got to go. You've got to replace it with watermelon or something. And folks, I think we're done. From all of us, thank you so very, very much.